Hello everyone, today we are chatting to Shaun from Shaunvlogs. Hello everyone, hope you are all happy and healthy and safe and well out there wherever you are. Thank you for joining again for another Scottish Memories. Just in case you haven't already, please remember to hit that subscribe button, come join Clan Broonford. But today I am chatting to a fellow kindred spirit, another YouTuber, one of Scotland's biggest exports, Shaun from the one and only Shaunvlog. He has, over the past 5 years, grown his channel to somewhere where I can only dream of. He is literally one of the biggest YouTubers in Scotland. I'm so thankful that he's joining us today. Shaun, hello, how are you?
Hello, yeah, very good, thanks. It's good to see you, good to be here.
Thank you so much for doing this, Shaun. I really appreciate it.
No worries, it's been a while since I last saw you. We went to the Edinburgh Festival last year, I remember that.
Yeah.
Which just seems like a totally different planet compared to what we're up against this year.
It is a little bit. We were out in crowds drinking whiskey, and now it's, sitting at home drinking whiskey on your own.
Exactly, yeah.
It's just the way it is. I kind of touched on it there, but your YouTube channel started as Letters Home.
Yeah, so when I started back in 2014, 15, I was traveling in South America at the time. My wife is from Brazil, and I thought, I was kind of watching YouTube at the time, watching a few different YouTubers, and seeing some of the videos they were doing. I've always been a storyteller. I've always kind of been a writer and worked as a journalist full time. And I thought, this is a really nice way to kind of tell stories about the things I'm up to. Nice and easy. Don't need to edit too hard in the beginning. And I was away in South America, and I thought, I'll put some videos together to kind of show my friends and family what I'm up to. I kind of just went from there, really. I never had any plan at the start. I was just making videos left, right and centre, and that's just kept going from there.
That's brilliant, though. I mean, look what it's. I have to say, like, you're on 150,000 now, which is incredible. Congratulations!
Thank you.
And as a smaller Scottish YouTuber, it does inspire. I have to say. So it inspires me a lot to keep going. So thank you for that. It really, just, I don't know if anyone's ever had the chance to say it before. So thank you for
appreciate the kind words. No, it's good fun. I think for me the biggest plus of it is there are a couple of big things. First of all, is promoting Scotland, the country that I love, my hometown, Edinburgh. Like yourself, like you do in your videos as well. That's a privilege to get people from around the world to get to see our own patch, if you like.
Yeah.
So that's one big thing. But the next big thing is that the amazing people you get to meet. Whether that's other people like yourself who do videos as well, or other people who have come to Scotland because they might have watched one of our videos and then they come up and say, "Oh, I really like that, and that's why I've come to Scotland." That's the best part of it. Just getting to meeting people in general is the best thing for me.
Yeah.
Just love it. The numbers is what it is, but it's just been great. I really enjoy doing it. It was a hobby turned something maybe slightly more than that.
It's kind of the same for me. It's kind of the same. It started as a hobby that's now became a passion, really, I think.
Yeah.
You're Edinburgh born and bred, yeah?
Yeah, born and bred in Edinburgh, over the west end of Edinburgh. So first place I lived was Western Hills, and then I grew up for most of my childhood and teenage years in Stenhouse, just next to Stockton Park.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that end of town.
Yeah, I know a little bit. Yeah.
So yeah, just kind of at the start of Gorgie Road, that end of town, that was my stomping ground. I was a teenager growing up.
So when you were growing up, holiday-wise, was it Scotland-based, or did you get to explore Scotland as a child, or was it more out of Scotland?
Actually, I saw quite a lot of Scotland. One of my earliest kind of travel memories was my parents took me up. We never had like loads of money for fancy holidays and stuff, but we used to go to Aviemore camping.
Right, yeah.
Actually, I remember when I must have been about 8, 9, 10 year old or something. My whole family went off to Blair Athol. Not quite as far up as Aviemore, but there was a campsite there, and we spent a couple of weeks camping and playing about in the rivers there, and going up hill walks and cycling and all that kind of stuff. That was great fun. So I think my parents, they always tried to go out about Scotland quite a lot, when I was younger growing up, and that was great. But probably I didn't really get to discover Scotland until I was a bit older. I didn't appreciate it as much as I could have when I was younger.
I'm kind of the same as you. Well, although not on the exploring Scotland as a youth, it was something that I didn't get to do, something we didn't do purely because of our mum and dad's work. We didn't really get a chance to. But now it's something that even now, I just want to see more of it. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's an age thing. You kind of appreciate your identity more, and you're like, well, I want to learn more. I want to see more and explore more. So and what was the series? You did a series where you drove about Scotland as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so that one was the NC 500, they call it nowadays. It's a bit of a marketing name for the North Coast 500. Basically, it's a road that starts in Inverness, goes up the far northeast coast, up past Elginal, up towards Wick.
Yeah.
And then Donegal.
Right on the top at Wick.
right up there, which is basically as far north as you can go in the mainland. And then it goes west along the top of Scotland, basically the last remaining bit of road before you're into the Atlantic. And then comes down the west coast through some absolutely mind-blowing scenery down towards Ullapool on the far west coast. And then from there, it kind of loops around the coastline all the way until you find your way back to Inverness. And it's 500 miles from start to finish, which is why they called it NC 500. And it's very, very popular now. Obviously, this year is different, but when I did it last year, it was extremely popular.
Yeah.
And throughout the summer months, I know it's quite hard to actually get a guest house spot nowadays. If you're in a camper van, it's quite hard to get a spot in any of the local places as well. And actually, there are really wee roads up there, and I think the infrastructure probably can't even take how much traffic they were getting up until coronavirus came along. So yeah, that was spectacular. That was a part of the world that I'd never really seen before. I'd seen bits of it, but to do it like that was really great. And like you said, the same way for you, that maybe didn't appreciate it younger and haven't really seen that much Scotland. I think doing YouTube and then realising there was a lot of people who weren't from Scotland watching my videos, mostly from North America, Canada and the United States, and who wanted to know more about Scotland. It inspired me to go out and actually show them places I'd never thought of going before.
Yeah.
And learning about the places and why, there was a battlefield here or whatever. There's this castle. What's the story behind it? These places I'd never seen before. And then all of a sudden, because I had a camera, I could show people, I could tell the stories. And it was almost like people were discovering these places through me discovering them for the first time. So I think that was quite nice. A good way to learn about the country and see more places in Scotland and also share it with the world. So that's what I love doing.
We're really lucky that sort of way. I think we're having that sort of, and I don't know if you find it's nice to sort of have this conversation with someone who's got the same sort of constant people reaching out from around the world. A lot of the people that get in contact, it's people with Scottish heritage or Scottish ancestry. I mean, ancestry meaning they've got further back. Heritage meaning they maybe moved away as a child. You know what I mean? Expat sort of thing. And it's nice that all these people have still they hold their connection so close to being from Scotland, which I think Irish Americans have that as well. I don't think you get it much out of those sort of two, though, really, do you? I've never really heard of much more apart from those sort of two. Yeah,
I think probably Irish Americans have been more aware of their history and past much more than Scottish Americans, if you could call them that. I think it's more of the Scottish side of things has probably been a bit more recent, especially because of the popularity in North America from shows like Outlander. People watching that and realising, actually, my name's Mick something. Maybe I'm Scottish, and then they've been doing they're doing the research on the back of watching that, and then realising, maybe 8-9 generations or whatever, there were somebody from Scotland moved over to kind of colonise the land, and that's how their family started, or they were kicked out of Scotland for whatever reason. And I think that's that's true for a lot of people. If you did, I think, DNA searches and stuff, there are more people in America who could legitimately claim Scottish ancestry than there are people in Scotland, which is crazy. And a lot of those people have kind of taken an interest in it, and that's great for Scotland because a lot of them have now decided, they want to come and visit, which is great. We've got a boom in tourism up until coronavirus, obviously. The last few years, people coming to discover the country, traveling around, and that's led to all kinds of good things, like the tourism companies here that, like Rabbi's, for example, in Edinburgh, who do like tours all around the country. And there's loads of other ones as well. They've just all boomed because of all these people coming to visit Scotland, and I think it's great.
It is brilliant. It's like you were just saying about the North Coast Drive. It's nice that they've came up with this thing and they've tried to develop it, and then obviously until all this COVID-19 stuff happened, it was actually almost too popular. It's like, okay, this is brilliant. It works, but wow, did we underestimate it?
Exactly. And I don't know the actual number, but last year at some point, I know the Edinburgh airport was one of the fastest growing airports in all of the UK, which tells you something itself. You know, we were getting flights added to the schedule in Edinburgh from like all over the world, like America, lots of direct flights to America, like I said, up until the virus hit. So yeah, it's lots of good things for Scotland in terms of travelling, and my hope is that it comes back with a vengeance. People will still have an appetite to come here. We just don't know. There's obviously so many places for people to go. Scotland does seem quite high up the list of places. I still get messages even now from people who watch my videos saying they want to come as soon as this is all over, or they had actually booked trips this year. You know, I had a lot of people saying they had trips booked this year, and because of what happened, they were cancelled and postponed until next year. So it kind of makes me feel a little bit encouraged that a lot of those people kind of have held on to their bookings for a year. Rather than cancelling them outright, rather they seem to have put them on a year. So it makes me think that, you know, that this isn't going to fizzle out yet, and I think it will fizzle out eventually, because these travel booms always come to an end. If you look at all the different countries it's happened to, I guess the kind of challenge is going to be for whoever is in charge of all this in Scotland to kind of make it sustainable and last a bit longer, and kind of grow off the back of it and make more people aware of Scotland. Based on this interest. So I'm optimistic. I really hope people will come back. But like you said, it did last year. It caused a few problems in terms of the roads. The infrastructure was getting a wee bit creaky because of all the people coming, but that's obviously not a problem they're facing this year.
No, but I think you're right though. I get lovely messages from people all the time, sort of going, "Oh, I'm supposed to be there right now, but it's been cancelled. But I'm rebooking for next year." So it's nice that all these people have. Well, I don't want to say it's nice that they're disappointed, because it's not nice that they're disappointed.
Yeah.
It's nice that they haven't lost interest and they still want to come, and hopefully it won't go. You know what I mean? Because
definitely,
I think you and me are in a unique position that we do love to share all with people, and the fact that there's so many people out there that want to listen, we're lucky. We're lucky that.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So sort of. You're down south now, so how often, besides the COVID-19, how often were you getting back up?
So I've not actually been down here that long, only since kind of the back end of last year. It's a bit of a temporary kind of work situation down in London. I've not been up since I came down towards the end of last year. I came back for Hogmanays, because that's one of my favourite times of year in Edinburgh. I was there for about a week over Hogmanays. Little did we know at that time that could be the last big party we have for a while.
Yeah.
I came back for a few days in February, and now I've just been back about a week ago as well to pick up my car. So not as often as I'd like, to be honest, but hopefully I'll be back on a more permanent basis pretty soon.
Good. You need to come up. We need you.
Yeah. Hopefully soon. As soon as this virus situation's over, I'm going to make plans to come back, because you know I miss it. I miss home. Edinburgh's a great city, great place, and you know I just think hopefully once this all smooths over and comes over, the place will be buzzing again. Because I must say, when I was up last week, just comparing Edinburgh now to how London is now, like London's got a bit of a buzz about it. There's people going about their business, doing things. It's busy. The shops are getting kind of back to busy, and there's kind of two things here. It's obviously a little bit concerning because I am cautious about the virus myself, and I don't want to catch it. Definitely don't want to catch it, and if I've had it, I don't want to spread it. So I'm wary of that. But also just to see Edinburgh as a ghost town when I was up about a week ago, it was weird. It didn't feel right.
I went a month and a half ago, because obviously this was in the point where we were allowed to exercise once a day.
Yeah.
So I took my exercise as a walk around town. That's what I did for the day, and I took the camera with me, and it was eerie. It was really eerie to see it that quiet, and strangely beautiful to get a chance to see the city in the middle of the day. So beautiful and clean and quiet, but at the same time, because of the reason that you couldn't enjoy it in any way. You know what I mean? To be able to, I mean, you know what it's like during the festival. The place is a hive, and we're going to miss it this year with it not being on. I think obviously, as you know, the festival Edinburgh-wise, Edinburgh people-wise, it's a love or a hate situation.
Yeah.
But I think not having it, a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, wait a minute, this is quiet." A lot of businesses are going to be hit by that, as if they weren't hit already. So yeah, it's an odd situation.
It's really weird, and it's something I always found weird about Edinburgh. Is a lot of locals who complain about the festival, but you know yourself that the city depends on it. It really, really does. My family, throughout generations ago, they always worked in kind of tourism businesses and stuff. You know, people who are no longer alive now, unfortunately, but they worked in tourism, and I could see when I was growing up firsthand how it was the event that kind of get their livelihood going, and that is still the case today for multiple businesses. And you know, and people can complain about the fact that some of these businesses aren't even Scottish. They come up for a week, a month at the festival, and then disappear again. But it doesn't matter. Ultimately, the city does depend on this event, and for it not to be happening this year is going to be a big deflation. Almost like Edinburgh's like a burst football right now, and over the August period with nothing happening, it's going to be a big hit and a big adjustment for a lot of businesses. And I hope most of them can survive. The bars and pubs, we've got great bars and pubs, as you and myself, we've kind of been through a few of them.
One or two.
Just can't imagine how they're going to turn it around this year. I really hope that they can find a way, but it's not just about the Edinburgh locals, because a lot of the locals don't actually go to some of these places. They depend on the tourists.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned, but at the same time, of every crisis, I guess there's always opportunity, and the city will reinvent itself.
Yeah, I think that Edinburgh is unique that way. I mean, in one way, it always keeps its identity, but another way, it does constantly change and adapt.
Yeah.
In an exciting way.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we're kind of on the festival. I mean, you're like myself. You're a big lover of the festival. When you like to head out, is there like your favourite kind of spots that you like to go, or do you just like to just head out and see where it pulls you?
I just like to go, probably the latter, to be honest. I just like to go out and see where the crowd is, see what the buzz is, and then just walk around, see what the atmosphere's doing, and then end up where we end up. That's the best thing about the festival. You can obviously make plans and book tickets and stuff. I tend not to do that because, especially if you live in Edinburgh, it gets really expensive to do that.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't tend to go to a lot of shows. I'll tend to just walk around, get the atmosphere, have a few beers here, there, and meet some people. It's a good time to meet people from different parts of the world who are in the city. And yeah, it's just about, you might end up in a show because you've been out and you thought, I just fancy that. But I don't like to make plans.
Or it's raining and you want to get cover.
Oh yeah, exactly. That helps as well. But yeah, I just like to it's just a good time to be in the city and soak up the atmosphere, really. Obviously, there's a lot of people who've saved money for months to come up and enjoy a holiday at the festival. That's a totally different story. But for me, I just like to be there,
Yeah. No, I'm the same. I love to soak up the atmosphere, and I'm a big fan of the street theatre as well.
Definitely.
I love watching a lot of street entertainers. I can sit there. In fact, I remember when I was living in London, because I went to college in London in my 20s, and I remember coming up one summer, and my mates, that was a time period where the mates that I had up here at the time, and actually still do have, they were used to me not being there. You know what I mean? Because I was living in London at the time, so their routine didn't have me in it. And I do remember coming up, and there was no one. I was like, they were all busy, they were all working. I said, oh, what do I do? And I just went to the Royal Mile, and I sat in the Royal Mile for about 5 or 6 hours and just watched street performer after street performer. And it was brilliant. The time flew by. I just sat in the street. And this is when the Royal Mile remember when, not that long ago, where it was quite deep steps.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And I just sat there for hours. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
I honestly must have been about 5, 6 hours. Just go, yeah.
The Royal Mile is a special place during the festival. You can just get lost up and down there. You don't have to spend a penny. Just go up and down and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Like you said, soak in the atmosphere. It's the best thing to do. It's going to be weird that it's not happening this year.
It is. And I mean, we're still waiting to find out what's going to happen by the end of the year, because you did touch on it there as well. Hogmanays is a massive thing.
Yeah, Hogmanays is amazing as well. That's another big thing. It just draws people from all around the world to enjoy what is one of the best parties in the world. A lot of people complain about both the festival and Hogmanay as well. Locals who don't go because they say, "No, this isn't really what Edinburgh's about." All these people are not from here, but for me, it's the pride in actually giving people who come a wee bit of a taste of Scotland, you know, showing them what it's about. I think what would be good, though, if the organisers could start thinking about how can we make it so that the whole thing isn't just, you know, centralised in, you know, the Royal Mile or Princess Street. You know, let's pull it out to some of the other nice neighbourhoods we've got.
Yeah.
You know, Queensferry, we've got Musselburgh, Portobello, that end of town.
Yeah.
How can we spread it out a little bit so that the whole city kind of feels a bit more of a benefit? And then, you know, we've got some amazing cultural things happening not that far from Edinburgh. You know, little castles here and there, coastline. East Lothian, as you'll probably know as well, is an amazing coastline. How do you get those people, you know, just for wee day trips here and there, just out the city to see a bit more?
That's a brilliant idea, actually, because you're right. It is all very heart of Edinburgh and the rest of it, and I'm guilty of it with making the videos. I tend to stay mostly central, but there's so much to see out with. Like Portobello is gorgeous. I love going to the beach in Portobello.
Yeah,
just
it's a cracking place.
It really is. It really is. So, Hogmanay wise, growing up, was that a big part of growing up for you? Did you go to the street? Or was it mostly a home thing?
Hogmanay for us, it was quite kind of weird. I always used to want to go because all my friends at school used to go. As soon as they could legally get in and have a drink, they'd all go. And my mum was always quite cautious about it, saying, no, you can't go. So I kind of missed out on that side of things. But yeah, as soon as I could actually go, I went and loved it. Obviously, it's a great party. I guess when I was growing up, we kind of just stayed with family and friends, had a couple of quiet drinks, never really partied too hard or anything like that. It was more of a kind of family thing. And like I said, my mum was quite cautious of going up into town, if you like.
Yeah.
I think even back then, that was 15 years ago, or maybe a wee bit more now. Hogmanay in Edinburgh was probably a wee bit different to how it is now. With it being a really super organised event. I think in a way how it is now is it's a wee bit sanitised, probably.
Yeah.
But that's required because you just get such a massive volume of people who are in such a small space, and you need everybody to stay safe, obviously. But what I like now as well is they've built another couple of really nice events around it as well. Like you've got the torchlight procession the night before, which is one of my favourite things. I love it. And then the day after is the Looney Duke down at Queensferry as well. So
yeah.
the whole thing's just great. Like I said, I was there this year, and it was brilliant. Absolutely loved it. Great time. So met so many people who had come to visit Scotland just to get a wee bit of a flavour of what Edinburgh was about. And Hogmanay was a great time for them to do it, to see the New Year's celebration. I met people from all around the world who were there enjoying it, and most of them seemed to love it, which, you know, that's what it's all about.
It's funny. I was the same, younger. Obviously, I'm a wee bit older than you, and my first New Year on Princess Street, because growing up, my mum and dad used to have house parties. They had a group of about 7 or 8 of them, and each year they used to take turns at which house they would go to. So we'd move about at which house we're going as I was growing up. But when I was old enough to start doing New Year with my mates, it was off we go uptown. And the very first one I did was, and I think I told this story to Grant Stott a few weeks ago. The very first one I did was the last one before it was ticketed.
Mm.
So you didn't have to have a ticket to get on the street. It was a lot more freer. The pubs out with that central Princess Street area and Royal Mile area, it was a little bit more inclusive, because you didn't have to go in there and then, right, that's you're stuck in this area. It was a lot more freer to go about, go to Rose Street and go to these things. And you're right, it's a shame that even that area is a little bit, they need to even just extend out a little bit more, because it is a little bit too contained now, I think. Just a bit.
I actually think my first ever Edinburgh Hogmanay experience in Edinburgh properly when I was about 18-year-old. I actually worked in a nightclub. I got a kind of Christmas job in a nightclub, a popular nightclub just down.
Baptism by fire, there, mate. It really is.
Yeah, just off the Royal Mile, and I worked over Hogmanay the first time. I think it was 18, 19, something like that. I can't remember exactly. And I just remember all these people. It's a really big nightclub in Edinburgh, and a lot of people came in and just had a brilliant night. And even though I was working, I had a brilliant night as well. All these people wearing kilts and just having a great time. There wasn't any real trouble. It was just everybody having a laugh.
Yeah.
And I think from then I probably thought, actually, this is quite a good laugh. I should try and come as a punter one year.
It's true. It's true. It is a good laugh. I remember I used to have a local just outside where the barrier was. And me and my mates always used to go there at New Year. We had a great time. But this was about 15 years ago now. It got cancelled due to really bad weather. Hogmanays got cancelled, and we were in the pub. And I used to host pub quizzes and karaoke's and all these sort of things. And the manager at the time, I hosted a pub quiz there, and he went, "Tony, you're going to have to do Hogmanay for us." And I'm like, I'm a bit on the merry side, shall we say, by this point. And I'm like, okay. And they handed me the microphone. I just went, okay, welcome to Hogmanot. The whole thing's been cancelled. And then we just had a banter, and then counted down midnight. I went, right, I'm done now. Give me a beer. But it's a unique experience just to be such a central focus for the world. Go, right, that's the party. That's the one you want to go at least once in your life.
Definitely.
That's where you want to bring in the bells, and it's nice.
It's real nice. I mean, I must admit, like this year, I went there, and I was thinking to myself a few times, this is too organised a little bit. You know, you've got really strict rules about where you can go and following the crowd access, and then pretty much after after midnight, excuse me, they ferry you out, right? You've not got much time there to hang around.
Yeah.
Which was, it's a wee bit, like I said, sanitised and almost takes the fun a wee bit out of it. But I understand it has to be safe. Whereas I've been to other New Year's parties around the world when I was in South America, for example, when it's just a big rammy on the beach.
Yeah.
And it goes on till like 6 a.m. And, you know, I think there's a lot to be said for that being a great laugh as well. You know, no rules, just a beautiful place and enjoying New Year's as well. But yeah, certainly Edinburgh's a unique New Year's experience for sure.
Yeah. So you must get this a lot. I get it a lot on the channel. But top tips for if people were going to come and they're going to visit Edinburgh, what would be your top tips?
I think it's about probably researching some of the other places around about Edinburgh you can go. Because like I said to you earlier, we've got an amazing coastline not far away from Edinburgh, 30-minute drive basically. What are some of the places you could see there? Do you want to see castles? Do you want to see the beaches? Do you want to go mountain climbing? We've got some amazing, you only have to drive 3 hours and you get to some amazing highland scenery. So what other places can you see around about Edinburgh, and how do you do that? Do you hire a car, which is a very good option if you can drive, if you're comfortable driving. We've got good roads here, so that's definitely one. Think about hiring a car. If not, like I said, I've got a lot of day package or 2-3 day package tours you can take with a number of the companies in Edinburgh, and I've been on a few of them. They're all really, really good.
Yeah.
Even me as a Scottish person going on these tours, I was really impressed by the amount of knowledge that the tour guides knew as they were going, telling me stuff that I never knew about. So that's a great way as well, and think about where you want to see. Do you want to see the Highlands? Do you want to see some of the islands on the West Coast? We'll just think about taking a few days definitely to get out of Edinburgh and see some of the other amazing places we've got. As for Edinburgh itself, we've got, like I said, a great coastline, worth visiting down Portobello, we mentioned already. Yeah. South Queensferry under the bridge is a very, very pretty place, and some good restaurants down there. I think within Edinburgh we've got, is it 5 hills we've got in Edinburgh?
Yeah, 5. 7 hills.
7 hills. 5 or 7, I can't remember. 7 hills maybe. Anyway, they're great as well. You need to go up Arthur Seat, definitely. That is a must do.
Yeah.
Even just if you can't walk up, it's not the biggest hike in the world, but if you just go to the lower levels even, it's just a great view. And the observatory as well. I really love the observatory. It's a great wee hill. Good view of Edinburgh from up there. And really, it's just about getting lost in and about the neighbourhoods, and that's where you're going to see some of the characters. The city centre's great, but Edinburgh's quite a spread out place,
Yeah. At the same time, as a city, we're tiny.
Tiny, yeah.
You really think about it.
That's one of the things. Like whenever I pick someone up that I know is staying in the city centre, and we drive out to go, I drive somewhere. Within 15-20 minutes, they're already seeing sheep and cows and stuff, and I think, is that it? We're done.
Yeah.
And that's Edinburgh. It's a small wee place, but I also suggest as well, I always say to this people, because I really, really enjoy it, and it'll be good to know what you think about this, but whether or not you believe in ghost stories or haunted stuff, I always recommend people go on ghost tours in Edinburgh, because the stories they talk about are usually about real people that really existed in Edinburgh, right? So whether or not you're interested in the kind of paranormal stuff, you're going to learn a lot about the history through those ghost tours. So I recommend that is definitely a top tip. Anybody, and a lot of them are great. I mean, some of them are not the best, but the majority of those ghost tours are really good, and the people are very knowledgeable about the history.
Yeah.
So 100% do a couple of ghost tours, do a bit of research online, and choose a couple that you fancy, whether or not you believe in the paranormal stuff.
I'd agree that the tours, or whether you believe or not, the tours are a great thing to do, because there are some brilliant ones, like the Mercat tours and City of the Dead and Aldreichy tours. The places that they take you, whether you forget about the ghost side of it, the places in the city that they go to are incredible and they're brilliant. And the same with Mary King's Close, you get to go around all these streets and things. It's brilliant. Then, I mean, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I worked at the Edinburgh Dungeons for a long time. So it's very different. It's been 10 years now since I left, but I was there for about 7 years. Yeah. And it was a big part of my growing love of the history, because I would be always learning. And yet, going to all these tours is brilliant. It really is. The only thing that I would say about the Edinburgh Dungeons now is I'm depressed, because for a long, long, long time, I was the voice of Sonny Bean on the boat.
Oh, were you?
On the boat. It was me. It was me for about 12 years, and now they've changed it. And
They've changed it.
It's not me anymore. I'm gutted. I'm absolutely gutted.
Yeah, but that's like another case. Like, they're telling you the story of Sonny Bean, and it sounds outlandish, but this is a real story.
Yeah.
You've got loads of stories like that, and like you go on the ghost tours of the Greyfriars Kirkyard, for example. They tell you about Mackenzie, the Mackenzie poltergeist, but that was a real man. Mackenzie, he was a real person, a really bad person, and that was a person that lived in Edinburgh and had a big impact on the city. So, like I said, whether or not you believe in the stories of the paranormal stuff that's come out of it, you'll learn about these people and who they were and some of the crazy things they did. And that's Edinburgh's a place that makes stories. So definitely, that's my top tip for people, even if they're a skeptic, go on a ghost tour.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Just to finish off before I let you go, I don't like to call these quick fire, because they're not quick fire, because I'll press you for a reason why. But I do like they're kind of a difficult choice questions. Yeah. So, shortbread or tablet?
Well, that is so difficult. I love both. I love tablet, right? But I can't eat too much of it, right? Because it's so sweet that it'll give you a headache eventually. So I'm going to say shortbread, because I love it as well.
It is one of those things. I'm the same. I love tablet, and every now and again I'll get a wee hankering for it. You know what I mean? I can go with a wee bit tablet. But shortbread, you're right. Anytime you can just go, yeah. I do, and I have to say, shortbread with a nice glass of cold milk.
Can't beat it.
That's the way you like it. Haggis or mince and tatties?
Haggis, 100%.
Well, you were straight in there.
Yeah, I'm not a big tatty fan. I'm not a mince. I like beef, but not mince. Haggis is another story. Haggis is brilliant. Yeah. And I never started liking or appreciating it until I got a bit older, to be honest.
You're not the first person that said that, actually. I don't know if it's one of these things that as you're growing up, when your parents give you it, coming from a Scottish household, when your parents give you it, sort of going, you need to like this.
Yeah.
As soon as your parents tell you something, you're like, no.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, as well, with haggis, what I find weird, and this is another thing that people visiting Edinburgh might find useful, is the fact that there's a lot of ways to eat it. And I think as you're growing up and it's haggis, neats and turnip on a plate, it was never that appealing. But then when you go up, you can discover actually you can have it fried at a chippy, or you can have it on pizza or nachos, and there's all these different ways you can eat it. Or you can have it on a roll with black pudding and bacon or whatever, and then you can start to think, actually, this is brilliant. And another great way, if you want a bit more finessed, if you like, is Chukter's chicken, where it's the chicken stuffed with haggis. That's another great way to have haggis.
Yeah.
So like
use it as a stuffing. Yeah, absolutely. It's perfect for that, actually, when you think about it.
So haggis is like the way we had it growing up when it was on Rabbie Burns night with the haggis. I never liked that. It's just that when I got older, I could discover all these different ways you could eat it.
Yeah.
I started to get into it a bit more.
Did you not do a video where you ate haggis for every meal?
Yes, I did. Yeah, in different ways.
Yeah,
I did. I don't know if that proved any points or whatever, but there was definitely showed like there's different ways you can eat haggis. You know.
And I'm just gonna. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. I've come up with so many of these sort of difficult choices that sometimes it's difficult, like for myself, which one to choose. Iron Brew or whiskey?
That's quite a difficult one to compare, I think. Iron Brew is
They're
a
very
legend.
different, but at the same time, they're again held in our hearts a wee bit.
Yeah. Iron Brew for the nostalgia. I think whiskey is a kind of more of a special occasion.
Well, obviously, you and me had a wee whiskey tour last year when you joined me for a video. But like you said, it's not. You're not a massive whiskey drinker, really, are you? You like
but you're seeing it in the thing there behind me. I've got a shelf of whiskey, but it's more of a nostalgia thing, I think.
Yeah.
And more of a nice to have, a nice collection that you could open up at one point. But it'd be a special occasion thing. It's not a regular thing. Whereas an Iron Brew would have just been any given Tuesday or whatever.
What do you think of the new recipe one? Can you taste the difference? Or
I can taste it. I don't like it. It tastes chemical. Yeah. So I've actually got it right here as well. I'll put it on screen. I bought a couple of these. The original one.
I think they're actually becoming more popular.
Yeah. Well,
one recipe.
You can really taste the difference.
Yeah.
This is the original recipe with all the full sugar in it, and you can really, really tell. Yeah. Much better.
Yeah. Tonics tea cakes or caramel waffle wafers?
I've got both of them in my house right now.
Really?
I'm going to say the wafers. I really like them. Caramel wafers, can't beat them.
Tonics is another thing that I think we've got as a race, as a nation, we've got funny little things we hold dear in that sort of way, and tonics is definitely one of them.
Definitely one of them. It's chocolate. A chocolate is that a biscuit? It's a wafer. You can't go wrong with them.
No, you can't. And are you? If you have a tea cake, are you one of the people that has to smooth out the tinfoil afterwards and get it all perfect, or do you just crumple it?
Roll it into a ball.
Really? Roll it? No, I don't have to smooth it. I have to get it back to that perfect square shape. And finally, now you're an Edinburgh person, so I'm going to guess your answers. I'm going to guess what your answer will be. But I've been asking this one lately, and chippy sauce, yes or no?
1,000%. Like, you can't have salt and vinegar on your chips.
No.
It has to be like a big, massive, deep pool of chippy sauce. It's the only way to have a chippy.
But it is a very East Coast thing.
Yeah, I think it's a very Edinburgh thing. Cause even if you go out towards like North Berwick, I don't think it's even that popular that way. We have this particular sauce with fish and chips in Edinburgh, chippy sauce. And it's just like, I think when you've grown up in that stuff, you can't have a chippy any other way.
No, I mean, I remember having it as a kid, and I found it weird. I just thought that's what you got at a chippy. You know what I mean? That's what it is. And then when you actually venture out for the first time and get a chippy, and people are like, no, it's ketchup or vinegar, and you're like, no, chippy sauce. What do you mean you've got chippy sauce?
What is it? It's literally brown sauce mixed with white vinegar, isn't it?
Yeah, I think essentially. And I don't know if you had this, but my local chippy growing up as well, they used to sell you it in a glass juice bottle. They would pour it into a glass juice bottle, and then you could buy it and take it home for like 50 pence as well. So whatever you had chippy sauce at home as well. Brilliant. Shaun, this has been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been good to see you again as well.
Yeah, good to speak. It's been a while, and it's always good to speak about Scotland and old times and all that kind of stuff. So really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll catch up and get a wee dram soon.
That would be lovely. Take care.
Cheers.
Wasn't that brilliant there? Thank you so much to Shaun for sharing his time and coming chatting to us today. If you're interested and you want to check out Shaun's channels, I will leave a link in the description below. Go check them out. Honestly, you will not be disappointed. If you haven't already, please remember to hit that subscribe button, give the video a like and leave a comment. But till next time, bye humans.